Welcome to Agile Tips. My name is Clinton Keith, and I'm an Agile coach and certified Scrum trainer. Today we're going to talk about applying Kanban tools on top of Scrum for support teams. First, let's define what a support team is. A support team is a team that supports multiple other teams or customers using a product they've released in the past. Examples of support teams are engine or infrastructure teams, IT groups, website teams, legacy product support teams, and mobile application developers who support lots of mobile apps that they developed in the past. So what problems do these teams have using Scrum? First, let's describe the flow of Scrum work briefly. Scrum starts with a product backlog that contains a prioritized list of features that a product owner wants to see in the product. Every 2 to 4 weeks, the team will take the features from the top of the list and break them down into individual estimated tasks and commit to implementing those features in the product by the end of the sprint. This becomes the goal they own for completing the sprint. Now, the problem that shared service teams often encounter is that they cannot be left alone with an unchanged goal for even 2 weeks. Urgent support requests, severe bugs, or urgent needs from marketing, for example, come along that cannot be postponed. Consider that with a 4-week sprint, such requests can take up to 8 weeks to be fulfilled, which can often be too long. The Scrum benefit of team commitment can be lost under these circumstances. Now, there are 2 tools that teams often use to address these problems and not lose the benefit of an Agile approach. These are swim lanes and Kanban. First, let's talk about swim lanes. Swim lanes identify a place for urgent requests to be introduced to the team on their task board. A swim lane is a separate row on a task board where new work is introduced. Often work on the swim lane is assigned to a subset of the team on a day-to-day basis. In this case, a few people from the team rotate into solving bugs following a discussion in the daily Scrum. Swim lanes don't work for every situation of this type. Only use swim lanes if there's one main product that your team is supporting where you can commit to a single goal every sprint, and when there's a consistent level of support anticipated, for example, 50% of the time every sprint. If support expectations are not predictable or there's multiple products being worked on, then Kanban tools might be a better fit. Kanban is typically described by looking at a Kanban board. In this example, we'll start with a Scrum task board and make some modifications using the Kanban principles and practices. Kanban is a Japanese phrase that means signal card. And as with Scrum, we're going to use the movement of cards on a Kanban board to signal the team and customers about the flow of work. This can be a physical board or one represented in a tool. The major change to Scrum with Kanban is the elimination of sprints. Work is pulled into this Kanban board as it's needed. This is shown on the additional column added to the left. This is the Kanban backlog of requirements, features, or bugs that are the most important to be worked on next. As the team accomplishes the tasks, the to-do column will empty. When it is empty or getting close, the team will take the next highest requirement off the top of the Kanban backlog and break it down into a set of tasks to replenish the to-do column. Eventually, the Kanban backlog will be emptied. This signals the team and the product owner to get together and select another 3 requirements off the product backlog in this case. The number is based on the limit defined at the top of the column. This number is fine-tuned over time to improve the flow of work. With the elimination of sprints and a short backlog, Kanban creates the ability to handle urgent requests that arrive much more quickly. Let's look at an example. Let's say an urgent request for a bug fix or feature shows up. The product owner can decide in this case that it is the highest priority and should go to the top of the Kanban backlog. This would push the priorities of the other items down the list and push the lowest priority item back to the product backlog. The one thing that we don't want to do is flush the tasks that are ongoing. Doing that wastes work. Another thing to mention is that Kanban allows more columns and limits to be added by the team as they find ways to improve the flow of work and reduce waste. For example, Here the team has added a verify column to ensure that testing verifies every new task accomplished is safe before it's deployed. Well, that's it for now. We've talked about introducing very basic Kanban tools to a support team, which allows them to handle unanticipated work and maintain the Scrum benefits of transparency and control over their work. There's a lot more to talk about with Kanban. Kanban has different methods for measuring velocity, identifying wasteful parts of development, allows workflow to be balanced. And in the future, we'll talk a bit more about adding limits, columns, and buffers, and talk about using Kanban for game production as well. As always, please send me any questions and comments. You can find more information at my website and blog as well. Thanks.